Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Just when you thought the culture wars couldn't get more culturally crazy. Yesterday, a leak from the Supreme Court, which never happens. Ever happens. In fact, I don't know what has ever happened before. There was something going to happen just before Roe v. Wade, way back in the day. We'll talk about that later. But if you're the Democrats today, quietly, are you not going, oh, God, this is great for us? Isn't it? This is huge. This is massive. Nobody was going to come vote for us. We're awful. Like, we are awful. Nobody was excited about anything we were doing. The numbers suck. Inflation's through the roof. People are struggling day in and day out. Oh, my God, this is awful. Now this comes out. This is great for us. People are going to be excited to vote for us. They're going to throw us money. They may actually come out and vote, even though they're not enthused about any of the things we're doing. Because there are single-issue voters out there. One of the things I said, though, and I said it way back in the day, and I continue to say it, and I continue to stand by it. Donald Trump, for all the chaos, the craziness, the lunacy, Donald Trump, I said, will be remembered most for the Supreme Court. Donald Trump will be remembered most for the Supreme Court. Remember the debate between he and Hillary.
I am pro-life, and I will be appointing pro-life judges. I would think that that will go back to the individual states.
Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court. I will say this, it will go back to the states, and the states will then make a determination.
Which is what's going to happen. So Alito is the one who is writing this, the majority opinion, by the looks of it. So is it going to be 6-3? Is it going to be 5-4? Chief Justice Roberts has some issues with it, but it'll go back to the states, right? So if you're in California, whatever you want to do, right? Club the baby afterwards. They don't even care, right? It was California. Gee, I don't think that's true. If you're going to be in 13 other states, well, things may change immediately when this becomes an actual decision. Remember, at this point, this isn't an actual decision. They haven't ruled on it. They're passing it around. They're talking about it. What do you think? Could this happen? What about here? But abortion's not going to be illegal in every state. It's not going away. What's going to happen is the state that you're in will make decisions. The state that you're in will absolutely go, okay, yay or nay. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the state you're in is like, yeah, you know what? We want to get rid of it. And there are states out there, I think 13 of them, that would happen almost immediately. But by and large, most of the states are going to be in a position where they may have restrictions. 15 weeks. And if you look at and I want everybody to understand this, you go and look at the polls and do an abortion. Majority of Americans want abortion to be kept legal up to 15 weeks. But when you look at the second trimester, that number drops pretty damn. I mean, it takes a big dip. When you get the third trimester, it is virtually gone. Any support for that. Up to 15 weeks. What will happen? How's it going to go? It's a draft. Now, the question is, could somebody change their mind? Nah, I don't think so.
There certainly have been cases where justices have changed their side, that alliances have shifted, but it is unusual. So expect to see the language change for certain. from what we see here, but don't likely expect to see the numbers change, although it's possible.
Yeah. So Alito is the cat that is going to write this. And the way it works is you go and they talk about it. They're already deciding which way they're going to go. Then Chief Justice Roberts will assign somebody to write it up. And they're going to go and write it up. And Alito wrote it up, and somehow this thing got out. That's the question that people are asking. How in God's name did something like this get out of a place where things never get out of? What could have happened? There's a lot of things that may have happened.
I think this was leaked by a liberal law clerk who is trying to change the outcome of the case, either by putting pressure on some of the justices to change their mind, or by getting Congress to pack the court even before June, which is very unlikely, or to get Congress to pass a national right to abortion law.
Possibility there. It's a possibility. They're already screaming now, let's get rid of the filibuster. Let's do this. Let's do that. I mean, they're look, the Democrats right now are scrambling. In some ways bad. In some ways, you think today that Planned Parenthood isn't having to open up quadruple bank accounts for the amount of money that is flowing in there? And they've already promised to spend $150 million plus when it comes to this. $150 million plus when it comes to fighting for Senate seats and in Congress. But it is interesting that this thing got out. Could it have been somebody who was like, man, I see what goes on in places across the country when it comes to business and certain things. If I can leak something, now again, you're not coming in as a lawyer, even though you're clerking. You are coming at it as an activist. Could I change people's minds? Here's the beauty of the courts and the insanity of the courts. You have a lifetime appointment. You never have to worry about being voted out. There is no pressure to, if I don't vote this way, I'm going to get voted out. There's no pressure. There's nothing like that on the courts. There isn't. That's a beauty of, and the insanity of the lifetime appointment. Because as we can see, some of these people are up there in age. Maybe their sell-by date has gone. But you never have to fear. You never have to fear that vote right there that you're going to throw out. Here, I'm throwing this vote out on this side of this particular thing based on my interpretation of the law, based on the Constitution. And you're not worried, oh, God, I hope my constituents vote me back in. You're not worried about that. You're not. Man, there is so much stuff to get to today. People ask me, what like an interpretation of the law, what is like, it's, remember, you've got several different ways that justices throughout time have interpreted the law. But really what you've got now is you've got the liberals look at it as a living, the document, the Constitution is living, breathing kind of thing as it adapts to time, where people like Alito and a lot of others are somewhat, some people, he calls himself, I think, an original pragmatist. He looks at the document as in its original text and bases things off that. And that was his kind of ruling here. Hey, where the Constitution, are you guaranteed a right to an abortion? We never settled this, as a lot of people thought we were going to do, with Roe v. Wade in 73, and then Casey versus Planned Parenthood in 92. None of these things are settled. One of them was more about privacy than the actual right, the abortion itself. I mean, there's a lot of things that people break down, and that's the way he's looking at this. None of this stuff was settled. In fact, this became a bigger sticking point, and we're going to let it go back to the States. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. You think Biden's going, oh, man, that's good for me, because now hopefully people won't look at me, with the, sucking. Sir, your entire presidency has kind of just been like an abortion. I don't think that was nice, Chad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I'm also going to talk today about the Ukraine and why we're so behind the Ukraine. Not just us, but a lot of the free world. And it says a lot about us. It does, as human beings. Just my opinion. I'm going to throw something out there at you. Text the program, 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Car Shield. Your car breaks down. You know, yesterday I was talking to my buddy. He's coming in actually today. He has a huge car dealership out here. And he and I were chatting, and he's just talking about the prices of used cars. Where he sold cars to people 2-3 years ago, and they put a decent amount of miles on it. He's buying them back for more than what they paid for it. And it's tough out there. So that's why Car Shield's so important. Your car, you like it, right? You don't want to go out and get another payment. You know how expensive things can be with supply chain issues, and then labor's going through the roof. Car Shield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose that shop, and guess what? They get them paid directly. Boom! You pay a small deductible, they're going to do the paperwork and all the other stuff that nobody wants to do. A million drivers have trusted Car Shield. Why not be one of them? Right now, lock in your forever pricing, meaning you're going to pay this price for as long as you have the vehicle and the plan. Plan start as low as $99 a month. Plus, you're going to save 10%. Carshield.com/Benson or call 800-391-8888. 800-391-8888 or carshield.com/Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me?
Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
All eyes are on the Senate Republican primary. It's one of the most contentious and expensive races in the nation. It will be the first major test of the power of Trump's endorsement. The former president threw the GOP field a curveball, throwing his support behind J.D. Vance, a venture capitalist who once called him an idiot. Vance now says that's a mistake, and he's hoping that Trump's endorsement makes this his race to lose.
Yeah, it's funny because over the weekend, Trump called him, I think, JP, like, Mendel or something like that. And it's just, it's just, he doesn't even know. He's like, yeah, I'll endorse you. Can I have 25 minutes of your 30 minutes of stage time so I can talk about how I was robbed? That's Trump. Yeah, I'll endorse you. Whatever. Good luck. So, J.D. Vance, by the way, is a very interesting cat. He's a venture capitalist, but he also, best known for his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, which was made into a movie I think it was last year. So it was very interesting. He's an interesting cat, though. He's kind of been all over the place. Does he win today? There's a good chance he's got a shot. There is. But this goes back to Trump, you know. Trump has pulled some endorsements that he gave that weren't going the right way. And I think a lot of Republicans, I think the big test is going to be, you know, the likes of Cheney and some of the people that are going up against the people that he didn't like. Because if he endorses, say, 20 people, and only 5 win, I think the Republicans can go, okay, you know what? Maybe the kingmaker isn't all that he's cracked up to be. Maybe not. But if he endorses 20 and 17 end up winning and winning the race, it's not just getting out of a primary, but actually winning. The Republicans are like, oh, it's just like seeing their shadow. We got 4 more years of this. Or at least 2. But I continue to go back to one thing. Remember this. Trump, most important thing that he did, while everybody else talked about the insanity and the tweeting, the craziness, the blah, 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 all of the stuff that went with Trump. And there was plenty of it. A lot of it was self-inflicted. He said when he was debating Hillary Clinton about the courts, spot on.
I am pro-life, and I will be appointing pro-life judges. I would think that that will go back to the individual states.
Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, that will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court. I will say this, it will go back to the states, and the states will then make a determination.
Yep. And judging by what we have seen leaked, that is definitely a real possibility that the states are going to be making this determination sooner rather than later. And people are upset. They are freaking out. They've got all the it's crazy because the opinion's not coming out today. This was a leaked rough draft that came out, I think it was like early February from the case here that was heard in December. So, but they've got the barriers out there and all of that. Do you think there's going to be an insurrection? You think there will be? I mean, I don't know if there's going to be an insurrection. But I guess if we gave them their choice, there would be an insurrection. But then if that happens, we'd have to make a choice. Do we abort the mission? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. More horrible jokes coming up. A little bit on the Ukraine, what's going on over there. I'm going to tell you why a lot of people are getting behind this around the globe, especially younger people. Talk about that. More on the Alito and SCOTUS Roe v. Wade kerfuffle. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Abortions totally illegal today. Saw somebody tweet that out. I'm like, no. Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned by the sounds of it. Yes. Does it mean abortion will be legal? Yeah. Some states it will be. Some states it's going to be legal. Other states are going to, maybe they eliminate it altogether. It's a states' rights issue. Now, could things happen? Could the Democrats eliminate the filibuster, and which I don't know if they're going to do, because you got other things. You know, I think a lot of people think, I mean, today you wake up, and if you're a Democrat and you were not enthused by the fact that you're paying way too much for everything, how could that be? We only spent $5.9 trillion on, this, as Bill Maher calls it, the forever flu. Think about that, $5.9 trillion with a T. That's almost as much money as Elon Musk has. We spent $5.9 trillion. Things are more expensive. We've got a crisis at the border. Very, very real. Very, very real. And about to get worse. So while they woke up today and they'll have some people that will be enthused, right? And look, 90% of these people that are excited about this, the activists out there that are pushing this, they're not, they were never voting Democrat. You're going to have some independents that might be upset about this. There's no doubt about that. But it's also a states' rights issue. That's the way they're going to look at it. States' rights. Right? States' rights look at it like, hey, you know what? Here, California, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. You want to abandon it, leave it in the corner, we don't care. It's your right to do so. I don't know if that's true, Chad. On the other side of things, you're going to have states that are going to go the opposite way, saying, look, not in this state. Not in this state. It's a possibility. But the Democrats will be able to raise money. The Republicans will be able to raise money. And for Biden, it buys him a little bit of time where people out there will take their eyes off the actual day-to-day life. This is a lady from Grand Rapids, Michigan. All right? And here's an everyday person who's going through the everyday aches and pains of the economy right now.
It's a typical morning at the Bandy House.
Do you want more Ovaltine?
39-year-old.
First of all, I didn't even know they still made Ovaltine. I just want to let you guys know that. Did you get a decoder ring with that?
Bandy House.
Do you want more Ovaltine?
39-year-old Lindsay and 44-year-old Scott live just outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Do you need anything for school?
They say right now their household budget is stretched to the breaking point by rising costs.
What have the last couple of months been like for you as inflation has creeped up across the country?
Before this last round of inflation hit, it was rough. We were still kind of paycheck to paycheck, but the paycheck went a little bit further. There's no wiggle room.
Yeah, there's no wiggle room. Not anymore for a lot of people. There's none. Zero, zilch, nada. They're on a knife's edge. You know, we were at, I shared this with you. If you didn't listen to the show last week or you're missing the show, you can grab the podcast where great podcasts are available. And then you look for the ones that are not so great. There's mine. We're at St. Mary's Food Bank here in Phoenix. It was the original food bank for the entire world, essentially. And everything's modeled after this food bank. And we were asking him, because I think a lot of people think and he says, Jerry Brown, not the former governor who's, insane, but the guy who runs the place here, says, people think that the food bank serves homeless people. 90% of the people we service are people who have a job, have rent or a mortgage, have a car, but what they don't have now is anything to get by. And they're making decisions by coming here that they're going to be able to keep their lights on because we're going to give them enough food to get by for a little while. And that's, you got to think about that. That's a growing situation that the Democrats are going to have to deal with because, and we'll talk about what she blames this on, but the reality is there's a lot of blame to go around, but you can't pump $5.9 trillion into a country over a space of less than 2 years and not think there was going to have some adverse reaction.
Lindsay says skyrocketing prices at the supermarket are a major source of stress. Meat prices rose by nearly 15% in the U.S. over last year. Milk is up 13%. Even the price of soup spiked 10%. Lindsay says the sticker shock is the worst at the gas pump.
Good grief. So I just had a very painful experience. I filled up my gas tank. I wasn't even quarter of a tank yet. It still cost me $100. We have to drive across town to pick up the kids, and then I commute for work. That's taken a huge bite out of our monthly budget.
Yeah, think about that. So while Roe v. Wade's going on, while all this stuff is happening, remember how many months we are away from the election. And while you're in Manhattan Beach, California, or Manhattan in New York, you're in San Francisco and Los Angeles, you're in some of the Austin, Texas, or Seattle and Chicago, the average person doesn't live in in a world where they're like, I'm going to go have my spritzer and I'm going to take my baby to baby yoga and we're going to do all of these things and I'm all about choice and I've got my, this great education, but I decided, to stay home. And you see a lot of those people out there, or you're in college and you're single and you don't have responsibilities. Responsibilities show up and all of a sudden you go from a one-trick pony when it comes to voting to like, hold on a second. I have responsibilities that include children and feeding them and clothing them, keeping them alive. I've got a business. I've got bills. And while this may energize some voters, if you continue to just get by, if you continue to struggle, we're still a pocketbook voting country. Now, she blames corporations are evil.
The family lives with a roommate to help pay the mortgage. Still, Lindsay says they're barely scraping by because wages haven't kept up with prices.
Who or what do you blame for inflation?
Corporate greed. I mean, there's no reason why these companies that are posting record profits over the last 2 years can't afford to pay their employees a living wage. For somebody to turn around and say, oh, my 401k has never been better and my stocks are so high, and I'm going, okay, what world are you living in?
Probably the regular world. She probably has a 401k. Maybe she has a 401k from work. I don't know. But yeah, are there corporations that are greedy? Oh yeah, totally. Are there individuals that are greedy? 100%. Yeah, that's. Let's not pretend that doesn't happen. All that being said, if you get a 7% rate, like here in Phoenix, where I live, on average last year, wages rose by 9%. Here's the problem: inflation rose anywhere between 10.5% to 12%, depending on where you lived. If you lived in Scottsdale, or you live in Phoenix, or you live in Mesa. So you might have gotten a raise and you thought, ooh, this is great. And then you found out, well, hold on a second. Things have escaped me. It's not all corporate greed. And again, the more money you get, and then the more money's available, the less money, the less of a distance your money's going to travel. It's not worth as much. It's not. We're still a pocketbook voting nation. That's the reality of this. So while today people are running around with hair on fire and they've got something to scream about, and it's culture wars, because culture wars are, they're great for front page, they're great for arguing, they're great for all of these things. But the reality is the day-to-day thing, when you become an adult, a person of responsibility, when you've got to pay bills and you've got a mortgage and you've got kids and you've got this and you've got that and you have responsibilities, things are a little less likely to get you freaking out about. You might go, you know what? I think choice, everybody should have a choice. And then somebody might say, I'm happy because I'm pro-life. But that's as far as it goes at this point, because I got other things going on. I take my kids to school. I got to make sure that I didn't abort. And, well, if you'd have done that, we wouldn't be having this problem. What am I? Oh, Chad, you're so bad. And I think we need to keep reminding ourselves that that's so much of what happens when you get older. It's that old saying, right? If you're not a liberal when you're young, you don't have a heart. If you're not a conservative when you're older, you don't have a brain. Meaning, when you're young, you should be idealistic. You should be all of these things. You should want to be somewhat progressive and push things and push for all of these things. But when you get older, you start to realize, well, life isn't, always what everybody told me it was at school. And I do have responsibilities now. I got tons of those things. And those things deserve my attention. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Again, it's out there. Alito's opinion. Could it be? Is it going to happen? Is Roe v. Wade going to be overturned?
Justice Samuel Alito, in this apparent draft, writing for what looks to be a 5-vote majority of the Supreme Court, says bluntly, we hold that Roe must be overruled. The Constitution makes no reference to abortion, and no such right is recognized in any constitutional provision. He goes on to say Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. It is a full-on repudiation and overturning of Roe versus Wade. Once again, we don't know if this is the way the opinion is going to turn out.
And it's 5-4 for now because, again, Chief Justice Roberts, he doesn't want to overturn the whole thing by the sounds of it. So will there be some negotiation going on in certain situations? It's a possibility. Very much so. There's still talk of this. Apparently was a draft that came out and circulated in early February, depending on where you look at the different dates. But that being said, it looks like they're going to overturn it. Doesn't mean tomorrow abortion is going to be illegal. It still have to have the final ruling. When will that take place? I think sometime in June. But, I don't foresee them changing their minds. Will it be 5-4, 6-3? That's, I think, the way that that's really what we're looking at here. 5-4 or 6-3. And each state now will be able to decide, if this is true, abortion in your state. And this is where voting matters. And this is where coming out and saying, you know what? My state got rid of it, and I'm going to vote to get these people out of here and replace it with people that will allow abortion, or you vote with your feet and your pocketbook and your taxes and everything. You say, I'm going to a state that more aligns with my values, whatever they are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Healthy Cell. Take it every day. Imagine, right? I don't like taking vitamins. Suck. I'm just going to say it, right? Because they're just giant. And they taste awful. They're horrible pills. And I never really felt like they did anything. Then I started taking Healthy Cell. Now, here's the difference between Healthy Cell and the vitamin. First of all, vitamins, you don't really absorb the vitamins, right? They're big and Healthy Cell is totally different. They call it a microgel. Let me just tell you, it's an ingestible gel. Looks like the size of a ketchup package, a little bit bigger. Tear the top, suck it down, away you go. You put it in water, smoothie, whatever you want to do. Boom. I take REM Sleep, I take Focus and Recall, and I take Immune Super Boost, which is great. Helps my immune system, gives it a big boost. It's got all the things I need. Vitamin D3, it's got vitamin C, elderberry extract, all this amazing stuff, and I feel amazing. Right now, your chance to jump all over this and get yourself going in a healthy way. Try the REM Sleep. It is amazing. And the Focus and Recall. Right now, save 20%. Go to healthycell.com/Chad. That's healthycell.com/Chad. You're going to get 20% off your first order. healthycell.com/Chad to save today. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man.
Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
Authorities releasing wanted poster and a warrant for the arrest of Vicky White, a 17-year Corrections Department veteran, now facing charges for helping an inmate escape. Vicky, a jail supervisor, left the Lauderdale County Detention Center Friday with inmate Casey White for a court appearance that authorities now say did not exist.
Yeah. Interesting. She's not a looker, by the way. Just to let you guys know that. Not a shock, I know. Chad, that's not very nice. He's 6'9". He is serving 75 years and getting ready to start a capital murder trial. But she said, "Oh, well, I'm going to take him down for evaluation." And for mental evaluation. And so they said, okay. I mean, she's been there like 17 or some odd years and seems to be okay. So taking him down for mental evaluation. And then she said she didn't feel good. She had to do a medical thing as well. Then think of it. And then they realized she's disappeared and there was nothing scheduled. Then it gets even weirder.
The 56-year-old had also just closed on the sale of her home on April 18th. This document, obtained by our affiliate WAAY, shows she sold it for over $95,000.
It's Alabama, so it's like 4 whites. Stop it, Chad. What do you get for $95,000 in Alabama? I got news for you. If you guys do think you're going on the lam for $95,000 and you're going to be able to live totally fine, I'm thinking that's no. She was also set to retire. I think Friday was going to be her last day. Her mother.
Vicky's not that kind of person. She was always nice to everybody. I can't understand.
Well, I do believe that maybe she is that kind of... Now, we don't know what happened. None of us knows what happened. What if people outside of there said, look, if you don't do this, we're going to kill your family. It's always a possibility, right? I mean, that is a possibility. Or, I'm going to say what if she fell in love with him? Because she's got access, and, the people that work there said, look, Vicky knows everybody in here. They know her, and she knows them. So is it possible that she fell in love? Probably. He sweet-talked her, right? Oh, I was wrong to my life, and somewhere along the line, she fell in love with him, and away they go. $95,000. I don't think you're going to be living life large. I think this is going to be one of those things where it's not going to go as well as you think it's going to go. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. You miss any of the program, grab it. The old podcast thing they call it. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Wow, what a day, right? Roe v. Wade. You're the Democrats today. You're quietly going, oh, thank God. They're not talking about the economy and immigration and all the other crap we've screwed up. They can talk about now how horrible it is and how women's bodies are now being controlled by evil men and pro-life women, and it's better than talking about $6 gas in California and God knows how much for meat. Hey, Producer Phil, you're a meat eater much like me. How expensive is meat? Because I saw the other day, it was like 20-something a pound for steak.
Meat prices are terrible. When you're paying $10 to $12 a pound for chuck roast, things are bad.
Oh. That's not going to win you elections. So this comes out, and in many ways, here's the silver lining. The Democrats, look, abortion's not going to be illegal. In some states, it may be. In some states, they say they're going to restrict it, like very restrictive. And in other states, it's going to be wide open, right? Feel free to come here. We're handing them out as you get into the state, whether you want one or not. But it's a money raiser. And it's also an energizer for a base right now that's looking around going, man, we got nothing going on. We got nothing. Nothing. So it was leaked yesterday that Justice Alito, so the way the whole thing works is you get chosen. Dan, you explain it. Dan Abrams.
They first have a meeting where they decide sort of where do they basically stand. Then someone's assigned to write the opinion. In this case, it would be Justice Alito. That opinion is then distributed for discussion. It is more than just oh, hey, this is something I was thinking about. This is Justice Alito's initial draft opinion based on that conference, based on these agreements and understandings about who's on which side.
Wouldn't it be funny is if they're like they're all in a room, they're like, all right, raise your hand. Who wants to get rid of, this? And then like 5 raising their hand. I was like, you guys go over there. Or you 4 go over there. Now you guys choose a captain. It's like, all right, you're going to be the captain. So you got to write it. So is it going to be 6-3 or 5-4? That I don't know. But it'll energize the base. It was leaked yesterday. Could things change? It's a possibility. Are they going to change? No, probably not. As far as votes. That's just pretty much the reality of it. It's going to be a states' rights issue, which is what Alito's been arguing. This thing was never about abortion, Roe v. Wade. It's about privacy. It was about a few other things, and people are worried. He's also come out and said throughout the memo, this is not going to be used for anything other than this. Right? So, marriage equality and several other. This is strictly about this. Don't think of it in any other way at all. Because that's the other worry that, okay, wait a minute here. The whole privacy issue is going to go away. So does that mean privacy for everything? No. That's what he's trying to say. But understandable. If you're a one voter issue kind of person. So, you're a one issue voter. You're that person. You only vote one way, right? And on one thing, marriage equality, pro-choice, pro-life, any of the, they could drive you into, they could crash the plane, but as long as they gave you the one thing you want, you're going to vote that way continuously. In many ways, you don't have any responsibilities. And I know that sounds crappy to say, but I'll say it. You don't. You're young. You don't have responsibilities. Maybe you're much older. Don't have a lot of responsibilities. The rest of us, again, living in a world where we're trying to make it paycheck to paycheck. And like producer Phil said, you're spending 10, 12, 13 bucks on, just chuck roast and the scraps in the world of meat. And, eggs have gone through the roof. Butter jumped almost $1 in about a week. You feel that because you have responsibilities, right? Like, you're like, you know what? Yeah, choice. I'm all for choice, but it cost me $5 for butter. You're like, what? Yeah, all of your tune changes. Now, if everything was perfect, maybe you'd be a little bit more energized. Say, you know what? Life's good. Everything's great. I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. It's really important. But it's a great culture war battle that's been going on for a long time. One of the things he talked about is the fact that, yes, this went in 50 plus years ago, never decided abortion, and it didn't settle it once for all. In fact, it made it even more of a battle. And then you have to, overdo it.
This abortion law goes beyond a woman's issue, and it goes beyond anything you can ever imagine. The societal implications of this are going to be insane. The amount of pain and damage this is going to cause, and the full ability to tell a woman what she can and can't do with her body. And we're going back into a Handmaid's Tale society here.
We'll get through this. We'll figure out a way. No more joking about it being a Handmaid's Tale. It will be.
No, it won't be. It's not going to be a Handmaid's Tale, although I'm sure we're going to see plenty of the outfits out in front of the Supreme Court today and over the next couple days. We'll see plenty of those. But the Democrats have an opportunity right now to energize the base, and there's the unintended consequences of this. A base right now that has zero energy. They're not pointing to one thing that Biden has done that's been worth a damn. Inflation through the roof, and let's not forget, so much of that was self-inflicted. $5.9 trillion, give or take, over the last 20 months, of which, though, the CARES Act was, $2.2 trillion. His giveaway was another $1.9 trillion. You start adding that stuff up, oh, my God, what have we done? Couple that with the fact that you've got immigration. That's a nightmare. Your want to get off fossil fuels had unintended consequences because you thought, hey, you know what? We're not going to be in a situation where there's going to be Ukraine, and we should be okay because more people are probably still going to work from home. And you had the perfect storm. COVID wasn't perfect. You had a nightmare in Afghanistan. Anything to not talk about all those things, and this is what you've got. Planned Parenthood is raking it in today. The amount of money that is pouring into Planned Parenthood. We should probably get a website, Phil, and just put it out there. Nobody's going to check. All of this is a win, even though they'll look at it as a loss. But the politicians who aren't getting abortions are going, man, this is horrible. I got to fight for my base, which is what you're supposed to do if you believe it. That being said, takes people's eyes off the pain temporarily of $5 gas, $4 gas, rising rents, rising cost of everything, not being able to get the things you want. Yeah. The other side of it, and I continued to say this last year and the year before, is Donald Trump, for the chaos, there's plenty of it. Wacky tweets, the covfefes, the hair on fire media, the fighting with the media, all of those things. When he actually governed, when there was situations where it was about governing, he got it right a lot of times. He did. He got it right for the base and the conservative nature that he said he wanted to come out and do it. So much of what was built around Donald Trump was just, I can't stand the human being. You know, people ask me, why wouldn't you vote for Trump again? I said, you show me somebody who's got a lot of what Trump has without the baggage, right? Without the fighting, without the chaos. Because too much of it, I think, got in the way of actually getting more accomplished. But I said, his legacy will be not the battle at the border and trying to stop that, right? Not going over and shaking hands with Kim Jong-un, you know, not the record economy, not any. His legacy will be 3 people on the court. That will be his legacy.
I am pro-life, and I will be appointing pro-life judges. I would think that will go back to the individual states.
Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, that will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court. I will say this, it will go back to the states, and the states will then make a determination.
Which is what will happen. Just like we have in the Constitution, we have the right to bear arms. States, like California stuff, make it extremely hard to try to bear arms. It's states' rights issue for them. You can't get a gun. There's certain things you can't do. Getting a gun is made more and more impossible on a daily basis. Getting getting bullets they make it extremely tough. They want to make abortion extremely easy. States' rights issues. And one of them's actually in the Constitution, and one of them was interpreted to be part of something in the Constitution. Talk about that. A lot of other stuff to get to today, including, of course, free college for everybody. I've got a way to fix this because, if you didn't go to school, or if you went to a cheaper school, or if you paid your loans off, I think I got a way to fix some of this, right? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show was your Twitter. Tweet at us, text to pro. We got a little what's trending straight ahead. I wonder what the number one trending story is going to be. Calibrate. 2022, you're saying, you know what? I'm done everything I can diet-wise. Nothing seems to work. Well, you've not done the thing that you need to do, and that's Calibrate. Calibrate is an FDA-approved medication, right? So it's medication that's FDA-approved. On top of that, you're going to get one-on-one, video coaching and in-app coaching, as well as showing how to make lifestyle changes that are sustainable. Not insane, but sustainable. That's important. Because too often than not, people go on diets and what happens? And then it goes sideways. Why? Because it's not real. You can't live like that forever. So here's what Calibrate does. It literally recalibrates your metabolism. That's what it does. On average, early Calibrate members, the earliest, first got started, they're down like 20% plus of their body weight. Percent, not pounds, percent. How? Your body's DNA, it goes back to caveman days. They didn't have a lot of food. Storing fat was extremely important. Over time, what happens? Well, as you got a little bit bigger, storing fat was made easier, stress, cortisol level, all those kind of things go through the roof. What happens? Your body, the minute you start to lose weight, panics. It makes more fat cells. You then, in turn, get frustrated because you lose a little bit at first, but then all of a sudden your body reverts back to caveman days and says, we can't lose weight because we're going to die. This is going to help you more than you realize. Easy to do, Fits into anybody's schedule. Save right now, $50 off, 1-year metabolic reset. Go to joincalibrate.com, use promo code Chad. Joincalibrate.com, promo code Chad to save big right now. Joincalibrate.com, promo code Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
I'm going to give you a guess at what's the number one trending thing right now. Is it Roe v. Yes, it's Roe v. Wade. Number one trending thing. Google. Followed by Kate Spade, because apparently Ulta Beauty apologized for a very insensitive email about Kate Spade. Of course, Kate Spade, the fashion designer, purse maker who committed suicide. In an email sent Sunday, the chain wrote, "Come hang with Kate Spade," promoting the brand's line of perfumes. And was not something that somebody just did a poor choice of words. Now, it could have been a 22-year-old who has no idea how she died and sent something like that. So I'm not going to go out and say everybody needs to be fired, because too often we do that in this day and age, and we need to hunt down the person and destroy them. No, I just think it was a poor choice of words. We move on. That's it. The Met Gala. Last night, a bunch of rich, well-to-do, super privileged, mostly white people got together in New York to raise money for a thing that very few people use, but is very important to the elites of New York. That's not very nice, Chad. But it's very honest. Yeah. Head over to Twitter. Yes, the leaked Supreme Court document suggesting the Supreme Court will overturn Roe v. Wade is the number one trending thing on Twitter. I know it's a shock. Catholics are also trending. Somewhere apparently they're in trouble for this. More on the Met Gala. NHL playoffs started last night. Ooh, yeah. NHL playoffs started last night. Tonight, another round. Very exciting. I love the NHL. I continue to say this. You know, basketball, all of these things. Nothing in the world, as far as year-to-year sports, it's hard when there's a series. It's hard to look at anything that comes close to the NHL playoffs. It is an act of attrition. It is guys who are your superstars blocking pucks with their chest and their face. It is all of those things. And more often than not, it's not the best team that wins. It's the team that got through it healthy enough that they could continue to put out skaters. And a rattlesnake handler has passed away from a snake bite at the annual Texas Festival of Rattlesnake Biting. Very rarely does an adult die, even without treatment, from rattlesnake bites. But he did. He was bitten on Saturday in South Texas. Passed away about 8 hours later. Eugene De Leon Sr. was handling rattlesnakes in front of the crowd when he was bitten on the shoulder. Doing what he loves. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Talk a little student loan, more on Roe v. Wade, a lot of stuff. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Wild scenes in front of SCOTUS. Wild scenes happening. Craziness. Why? Roe v. Wade. What will happen?
I fear for my kids, like what happens if, they get pregnant and the pregnancy goes wrong, if they have an ectopic pregnancy, if, they have a miscarriage. I mean, what I fear is going to affect everybody.
Oh. Is it? No, not really. I mean, when you take things to the extremes, not that those things can't happen, absolutely. You would like to think that states, and there'll be some states that are so idiotic, right? Like we were talking during the last break, we're like, like your dad gets you pregnant, right? Because he rapes you, and you're like, well, some states are like, well, you can't get an abortion. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If you have an ectopic pregnancy and your life is at risk, and in many states that are absolutely normal, even though they may want to restrict and they're not restricting, what they're saying is in a lot of states. Now, there are some states out there, the minute this thing goes into effect and it's repealed, if indeed that's what happens, which it looks like it will, Roe v. Wade, there are some states that could go to no abortion whatsoever. But other states are going to go, look, it's 15 weeks, it's 12 weeks, it's 10 weeks. Okay. And this is where remember, both sides reach for the ridiculous. Hey, I think abortion is the thing that should be restricted after 14 weeks because until you get that second trimester. I think at that point in time, you're talking about a life and whatever. Do you think that we should get rid of it? Yeah, no, let's make it a week. Yeah. So we won't make it totally illegal. We'll make it a week. And even if you're raped, you got to keep it. And even if it's your cousin or your brother or your dad, you got to keep it. And it's so insane where people go. And then you got the other side. It's like, well, I don't care if you can talk and walk once you get out. If you want to club with a stick, you should be fine. It was your choice. It's absurd. And it's sad. And right now, this is one of those things where if you're a Democrat, you've got, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to make this weird. You got a pep in your step today that you didn't have yesterday because you don't have to talk about an economy that is weird, rising prices in everything, the lack of certain things, highest inflation, how many years? 4 decades. Oh, that's a lot of decades. That is a lot of decades. So you don't have to talk about that. Not at least not for a few days. Eventually you will, because people are going to wake up and go, oh my God, I had to pay my bills today. And it sucks. Then you've got the other thing, because the Democrats are looking, the progressives and the young want nothing to do with, they look at Biden and I've got some friends who are uber progressive. I love them to death. They always want to talk politics with me. I never want to talk politics with them. I'm like, dude, I love you. Let's not talk politics. We'll talk a little. But they felt like they've always looked at Biden as he's just a crony. Go look at his cabinets full of people that worked at Raytheon and, that's what they point out. They all worked at Goldman Sachs and all these. He's a crony. He's like everybody else. He's not going to get rid of stuff, right? They wanted Bernie. And so they look at him. He's like failed with climate change, and he's failed with all the other progressive things that they want. So they're banning him, especially the young. Latin voters, Latino voters. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, I don't know what, but man, he is not doing well there. I was reading a great article the other day. This guy's like, look, I voted Democrat last time, but if Republicans offer me something good as far as better ways with the economy, I'll switch my vote in a heartbeat. Yeah. And then there's the student loan thing, right? Because there's a big promise about, I'm going to give you guys a student loan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And, of course, you got Elizabeth Warren.
But, I'll tell you part of the reason for that. Part of the reason for that is just plain old, the rich people got lots of lobbyists. And lots of PR folks and lots of friends whose campaigns they have donated to. Yeah. Folks who are struggling with student loan debt They don't have a big lobbying arm to get out there for them. All they've got is each other. But that is the key that you mentioned earlier about voting. This is something that's very popular, activates voters up and down the spectrum. And understand, when I say very popular, it's popular among people who have student loan debt, but it's also popular among people who don't. A majority of Americans who do not have student loan debt say, I want to see us forgive a chunk of student loan debt, because most of them know somebody who does.
That's a lie. And it's also popular. She's like, amongst people that don't have student loans either. It's like, it's super popular with them. It's like it's even more popular because they know people who did. And then they came out, they're like, they're working on something to get rid of $50,000. Here's why that'll never work. Because it's not constitutional. Even Nancy Pelosi came out and said, he can't do it. He can't. He can't do it. He'd be better off coming out going, figured out a way to stop you guys paying your student loan debt. And then he whispers, just don't pay it. That's it. I mean, it's constitutionally, you just can't do it. We never addressed the issue of why does it cost so much to go to school? And why is it somebody who chose to go to a cheaper school, chose to piecemeal their college together over time while they worked, chose not to go to school? Why is it that, or paid off all their stuff, have to pay for everybody else? And it never addresses the fact that, let's just say you decide to get rid of everybody's student loans today. What happens tomorrow? Are the kids going to school now free of debt? And if we have to pay for it, you and I, and we didn't go to college on massive loans, or you got whatever it is, right? Or you didn't even go to college at all. Can we say, all right, here's the deal. If you're going to take money out of my taxes to pay for kids who decided to go to school and get their sweet liberal arts degree and, an interpretive dance or whatever it was, we should be allowed to choose the diploma of choice that says we graduated as well. Problem solved. If you told people, all right, here's the deal. If we wipe out everybody's loan, everybody gets a degree. You're like, wait, what? Yeah, so let's say you got a degree from, I don't know, just pick a school, right? Like University of New Hampshire. I don't know if that's a real school or not. I see their commercials, but again, I don't know. They have a bus. I know that. So, but they wiped out everybody's loans, and you're like, man, I could have gone to Boston College? Yeah. Well, I want a degree from there. Okay, fine, you get a degree from there. I want a degree from Harvard or Yale or Penn. Oh. And here's the other thing. She talks about the poor. What is it, the upper 20% of incomes or 30%? Some ridiculous, like they hold the majority of the student loan debt in the country. It's the lower half that has very little of it. So they are paying for them to get free school. It just sounds good. It's very popular amongst, you know what else is very popular? Free ice cream. Very popular. Very, very, very popular. Amongst people who like ice cream, and pretty much every human being likes ice cream. It's not sustainable. It's just not. But you're looking to activate voters. You're looking to try to claw back. Because up until yesterday and the whole thing with Roe v. Wade, you had zero to talk about. Zero. Nothing to talk about. The younger generation doesn't really care about, what's going on in Ukraine. They're not paying that much attention to it outside of a smatterings of here and there. The majority of America is, but and we've been better at it. And there's a reason for that. And we'll touch on that in a little bit of why a lot of the West is like, yeah, let's get behind Ukraine. Like, we don't have to fight them. So that'll be good. On top of that, Immigration's a mess, right? You haven't come through with any of your promises. Black Americans aren't thrilled. Latino Americans or Latinx or whatever we're supposed to call somebody that makes them all feel good, they're not behind this administration. You've failed with your Afghanistan withdrawal, which was always going to be tough, but it was a giant debacle. You were warned about immigration, by the way. Not just kind of, sort of. I heard something through the grapevine. You were warned. Yeah, it's going to get ugly. COVID didn't go the way you wanted. You came out and said, man, if this many people died when I'm president, I resign. More people died and you had the vaccine, but yet you're still there. Your vice president is a hot mess. Inflation is through the roof. I mean, there's numerous things. Then this happens. So this, with your free college, sounds like a win. But you're not getting this. You're just not. Because he can't. He just can't do it. There is no signing a piece of paper and making it go away. It would get to any court in the land, right? It could go to a kangaroo court, and the kangaroo's going to be like, nope. But it's not about whether or not it happens. Remember, so much of what happens in politics is, I'm going to show that I'm fighting for you, knowing full well they pass these wacky bills, knowing full well the minute it gets to any court, it dies. And they go, sorry about that. I tried. Because, as we've talked about on how many occasions here, courts are the places where people have to make real decisions. And it's not based on popularity. And you don't have to worry. Like being on the Supreme Court, it's a lifetime appointment. You're not going anywhere. You hear people say, well, we're going to show these people. We're going to make sure they're gone. You can't. You don't even understand what's going on. So you're free to make a real decision without the fear of repercussions. Politics is, I don't want to make a real decision because I am terrified of repercussions. So what can I do that virtue signals makes it seem like I'm trying, knowing full well, it's never going to work. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Eden Pure. Guy hit me up yesterday, locally here in Phoenix, said, hey, what's that air purifier? So it's Eden Pure. Yeah, I'm getting some for my wife. And so what's the website? So I go to EdenPureDeals.com. Use code CHAD3. You'll save $200 right there. Best air purifier around. It is just incredible. You plug it straight into the wall. That's it. You don't do anything else. And away it goes. And you will smell the difference. Right? It's the Oxy Leaf 2 Thunderstorm. Thunder. And it's incredible. You will smell the difference. So if you got some stank in your house, right? Maybe you got your laundry doesn't smell good, right? Because the kids are playing sports and it's a hot mess, all that stuff. You cook a lot in the kitchen. Maybe, one of the kids always burns popcorn. Somebody's just plug it in, away it goes. Maybe you've got a smoker, whatever it is. So we did. We had a smoker in the house. And you would never know. Gone. The smell's so gone. Try it right now. You're going to love it. Free shipping. You can get a 3-pack, Oxy Leaf 2 Thunderstorm. Go to EdenPureDeals.com. Use code CHAD3 to smell the difference. EdenPureDeals.com, code CHAD3. EdenPureDeals.com. Use code CHAD3 to save $200. Shipping is free. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
They live there, they sleep there. Some kids go to school down there. People celebrate birthdays down there. Couples have relationships down there. The conditions are horrible. It's utterly shocking to witness. It's 2022. And we have people forced to live underground by Russia's invasion. That's what Putin's war actually means for the people of Ukraine.
Yeah. Ian Pennell right there talking about what's going on. He was taken underground and was told, look, you can't tell anybody where they are. There were 700 people underground, and they've been there for 69 days. They haven't been out. And know that, A lot of these huge facilities you see over there in the Ukraine that, were built in Soviet era, they were built to withstand a ton of things, including war, because there was this always, hanging over everybody's head was the potential of some sort of war. Now the question is, what's going to happen? Everybody's looking to a specific day. And that day is May 9th. And what will happen?
What does Putin announce? Does he announce that there's now a full-blown war against Ukraine and allows him to bring up reservists and to mobilize the country in ways that he hasn't before? Or does he just say, we're close to being done here. We've gotten the territory that we want.
But you don't, and you're not going to end up keeping it because you have to occupy it. You can't do that. Remember, every day that Ukraine survives, every day that life goes on in the Ukraine with the Ukrainians having their flag above them, there is no puppet state in running anything and in power, that Zelensky and the people are waking up every day and going about their business in parts and fighting in other parts is a win for them. And it's a loss for the Russians. For the Russians to win, they must what? Right? They must destroy, replace, and occupy. They're not going to do that, even in some of the land and area. So it's getting more and more desperate. And part of that is the fact that your stuff sucks. Oligarchs took all the money, put none of it towards weapons. Your military's a joke. They don't even know what they're fighting for. You didn't send your best and your brightest. You sent conscripts, and when you did send your best and your brightest, you sent them into positions where they were slaughtered.
It's not like they can just go ahead and throw a bunch of people, reservists, into these battalions that are operating in the Donbass. The problems that they have are so deep that it's going to take them decades to overcome.
Yeah. And I think somewhere along the line, things changed, luckily about 10 days ago. And I think we realized we've got them. Once and for all, we can bleed them dry and or finish them off. And we're going to do it. It is a proxy war. It is the West versus the Russians, and they are meeting our military might with the bravery of the Ukrainian people. And we're thinking to ourselves, none of our men and women have to die. And that sounds horrible, but that is the reality of it. Absolutely. We couldn't let him do this. But I think realizing how weak he is, yeah, I think it's definitely on. And I think they're going to go as far as they have to. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The panic, you can feel it. Not since January 6th has there been a frenzy of insanity in and around Capitol. Roe v. Wade overturned. Could it be? Is it possible? Might it actually happen? Oh, no. It is possible. It is more than likely that it is going to happen. Justice Alito, who, for whatever reason, this thing leaked, but he is writing the majority opinion. Whether it's 5-4 or 6-3 still is yet to be decided. And that opinion will be that Roe v. Wade is done. Roe v. Wade is done. Now, the Democrats today are celebrating. I know that sounds weird, but your mind over the last 60, 90 days is, can we stem the tide somewhere where when the Republicans take back the House, that maybe we kind of hold on to the Senate? Maybe, kind of? Or are they both lost? Is it, you know, I mean, you're thinking about that, and you wake up today and you're like, money's flying into the coffers at 100 miles an hour. Emails are being sent left, right, and center. I've got several of them today about if you agree with this, click here and donate $5. If you don't agree with this, click here and donate $12. We'll fight. All those kind of things that are happening. But we're not talking about inflation, immigration, COVID, et cetera, which are all things that the Democrats want to try to not talk about now. So what will happen? Well, if this is real, which it looks like it is, you got to say if, because could things change? Is it possible? Yeah.
There certainly have been cases where justices have changed their side, that alliances have shifted, but it is unusual. So expect to see the language change for certain from what we see here, but don't likely expect to see the numbers change, although it's possible.
Yeah, not going to happen. So is it over? No, it's going to be states' rights. That's always been what, so much of what our nation is built on is states' rights, right? The federal government, each state is its own country. I was trying to explain this to people. So imagine this. This is a shell corporation. The federal government is a shell corporation, right? It's a pass-through for taxes and a few other things. But then the rest of us act as our own miniature countries. That's why governors, more often than not, are people that are presidents. Rarely. I mean, you've seen President Trump, President Obama, and now Joe Biden, President Biden. But before that, you go and look, a majority of presidents that we've had in this country, a vast majority, have been governors. And the reason is fairly simple. It's you're running a country already, a mini country. You're making decisions. You're having to deal with your state Supreme Court as well as the legislators that you have. And states' rights has always been a big issue for me because I think that's kind of what the founding fathers want. We've got states that compete with each other. You don't like paying high taxes and ridiculousness in places like California. People are moving. They've shown that. Second year in a row, California has lost people. Their population has shrunk. Texas' population is growing. Oh, why is that? High taxes? No, low taxes. More freedoms? Yeah, more freedoms. COVID also pushed a lot of people in certain areas, right? And if you live in a place like Texas, and you're like, I don't like the fact that people have freedoms and guns and whatnot, and I want to go to a place that's more in line with my stuff. Go. It's the beauty of it. Well, not everybody can do that. I understand. The other question is, how in God's name did this thing get out?
I think this was leaked by a liberal law clerk who is trying to change the outcome of the case, either by putting pressure on some of the justices to change their mind, or by getting Congress to pack the court even before June, which is very unlikely, or to get Congress to pass a national right to abortion law.
Yeah. Which earlier, not just too long ago, I mean, just a smidge, Chuck Schumer.
Now that the court is poised to strike down Roe, it is my intention for the Senate to hold a vote on legislation to codify the right to an abortion in law.
Yeah. Is it possible? Yeah. But how are you going to do that? Well, Bernie Sanders just tweeted, Congress must pass legislation that codifies Roe versus Wade as law of the land for the country. Now, and if there aren't 60 votes in the Senate to do it, and there are not, we must end the filibuster to pass 50 votes. Well, hold on. Whoa. Again, you're not going to end the filibuster. If you end the filibuster, right, like if you court pack, what do you think is going to happen? Well, then the other side's going to pack the court too. If you go and you end the filibuster, I'm always amazed. It's like, well, we're just going to do it this one time. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to do it just once and then tell the other side, hey, we did it once, but you're not allowed to do it. Those are other slippery slopes. People are freaking out. I have a feeling one person who used to be in the White House has a smile on his face, and people who couldn't stand Donald Trump but are definitely uber conservative are thinking, you know what, he got something right.
I am pro-life, and I will be appointing pro-life judges. I would think that will go back to the individual states.
Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, that will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court. I will say this, it will go back to the states, and the states will then make a determination.
For all the chaos, for all the craziness, for all the lunacy, when it came to actual, hey, governing, when it came to, hey, let's look at bills, let's do things, he got some stuff done. What do you think of it? Look, I've always looked at it this way. I'm me. You're you. The choices you should make are your choices. You live with them, you die with them, whatever that is. And I would never want to take anybody else's choice. But you're a Christian. I am. And God's given us free will, and you make those choices. Now, I think there's a limit. If you go and look at polls across the country for many, many moons, they've been pretty stable, especially over the last several years. Majority of Americans believe that Roe v. Wade should stand. Up until a point. After the first trimester, it takes a big drop off from being in the majority to minority when it comes to abortion. And when you get to the third trimester, it is, as Anthony likes to say, when I say it, a precipitous drop. But I've never been one of these people, we need to, there shouldn't be, no. Everybody should be able to make a choice. You make that choice. What is best for you? What is best for you? Do I believe it's life? I do. But I'm not living your life. You are. And you're going to make a choice. It's the reality of the life that you lead that you will make that choice. You may keep it. You may decide to abort. And whatever happens at that point. Again, I think there's, you get to the point where you're just like, well, what if I'm like 4 weeks away? No, I mean, stop with the insanity. I know there's some places like, oh, we're fine with that. But no, it's because you want to feel woke. And just in case the 1/10 of 1/10 of 1/10 of 1%, you want to make it the norm. It's not. Stop. But when I hear people say, well, it's my body, I should be able to do what I want with it. The government tells us all the time things we can't do with our body. I've never had a drink in my life. My kidneys are awesome. I could get 6 figures for one of my kidneys right now. 6 figures. I can't sell my kidney. And I would be helping somebody with life. But can't do that. Can I? Well, it's not the same. No, we all want to come up with some sort of crazy reason why this. It's frustrating for a lot of you out there, but it doesn't change today anything. Will they get the votes? Probably not. Could they get close? They might get 52 to 53 votes. But for all those people out there who love Mitt Romney because of the way he stood up to Trump and all these things, what do you think Mitt Romney's going to vote? Just out of curiosity. You think he's a pro-lifer in Utah? Oh, dag nabbit. We shall see. The panic's real. The money racing's definitely real. A lot more to get to on this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Oh, baby. Rough Greens. Give it to my dogs. I love my dogs. My dog Doodle drives me crazy. He does. Blind as a bat. Should never have lived as long as he had. Probably should have put him to sleep three years ago. We were doing everything we could to try to keep him alive, and We made one Hail Mary switch, and that was to Rough Greens. Rough Greens K9 VitaSmart. It's just amazing supplement. Put it right on top of his food. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369, all this incredible stuff. And lo and behold, 3 years later, he is happier and healthier than he's ever been. He's bouncy. He's fun. It's crazy how much different he is. And all we did, we didn't change his food, no special medicine. It was just a supplement. You can try it right now from Rough Greens, K9 VitaSmart, for free. You cover the cost of shipping. They're going to send it to you free. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. RuffGreens.com/Chad. Or call 833-MY-DOG-77. They'll send you back for free. You cover the cost of shipping. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
This is a really devastating morning for our team. We have been talking about the possibility that Roe would be overturned for some time, and in many ways, we've been living in a post-Roe reality. We've been seeing patients fleeing from Texas for 8 months now who are desperate, in crisis, and understand that they have fewer rights than they did a year ago. But at the same time, there is something empowering not being able to say out loud, this is what's happening. The Supreme Court is going to overturn Roe. It seems very clear in the draft decision that's the plan. And so now we mobilize and push back and fight for our patients.
Emily Wales there. She is the person who is acting as the director of Planned Parenthood. The money rolling in today must be massive. But if you are the Democrats, you got a weird get-out-of-jail-free card today handed to you by the Supreme Court. Because over the next 24, 48 hours, you've energized a base that had nothing to be excited about, like zero to be excited about. They weren't excited about talking about inflation. They're not excited talking about failed immigration policies. Excuse me, failed immigration. You'd have to have a policy for that to fail. They're not excited about the amounts of money we spent on COVID that was just a giant waste. The fact that things are far more expensive than they've been in 4 decades. The battle over CRT and stuff that they were losing. Let's be real. The Democrats were losing this because they had gone too far. There was nothing for this White House to get behind. But then, lo and behold, you handed the Democrats something. The courts didn't hand them this, too. And we're going to talk about, this isn't a court thing. This is a government thing. This is a political thing. This is a failure of our government to actually do their job. So when I hear people go, oh, my goodness, it's the Democrats right now are sitting there going, phew, for a while, I thought we were really screwed. We may be able to get this thing rolling. We may be able to push this thing forward. We may be able to tip the scales in some of these close races towards us where, you know what, we're probably not going to hold on to the House. We could hold on to the Senate. We could do it. We're at least going to have a much better run in some of these areas. All that being said, today is one of those days where the Republicans are looking at certain things too. That thing being Trump's influence, especially when it comes to his anointed ones.
All eyes are on the Senate Republican primary. It's one of the most contentious and expensive races in the nation. It will be the first major test of the power of Trump's endorsement. The former president threw the GOP field a curveball, throwing his support behind J.D. Vance, a venture capitalist who once called him an idiot. Vance now says that's a mistake, and he's hoping that Trump's endorsement makes this his race to lose.
Yeah, so we'll see. And I think, the thought after Trump went out unceremoniously in the way that he did was he could go a lot of different ways. One of those, which is kingmaker. I think people are trying to figure out if he's kingmaker. By the way, he called J.D. Vance JP, Marte or something, like something you're just the other night. He wasn't even close. And everybody's like, oh, it's because he's losing his mind, or and he just calls you and go, hey, you know what? I'll totally, I heard you said nice things about me. I'll support you. I'll come on stage and do it. If there's any way I could take up all of your time to talk about how wronged I was, that'd be fantastic. But Republicans are looking at him and thinking to themselves, if he endorses 20 people and only a portion get through the primaries, and out of those portion they get through the primaries, only a few actually win their race, then maybe he's not the kingmaker. Maybe, just maybe, we can start to consciously uncouple ourselves from Trump. If they go and they run roughshod over everybody and boat race everybody, then you know that he is that kingmaker, and he's going to be around for a while. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. The Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Biden says because of this draft with Alito, now they're going to be able to question everything in your private life. Alito said throughout this entire process in SCOTUS decision that, again, it's not an actual decision. It is the rough draft early on in February, which it's probably going to be the decision when it comes to Roe v. Wade. But you're reaching now because it's great. It's good business, right? You say stuff that's insane. It's great business. The enthusiasm at this point in time is going to be up. Now, that may curtail. While the young, who are inherently much more pro-choice than the older generation, and there's a lot of people who are older who were once pro-choice and maybe not as thrilled by it as they once were, because their lives have changed. You get some responsibilities, right? And you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm fine with choice, but I don't want to pay, X amount of dollars for gas. I can't afford to keep my lights on and feed my family. My business is struggling here. Your perspective changes in life when you get certain responsibilities, like life, adult responsibilities. So, but you got to say stuff that's insane. Case in point, Joy Behar, who's always good for something insane because, well, she's Joy.
Not that I'm surprised. Right. You and I were talking before. Yeah. We're not surprised. We saw this coming. My worry is that this is just the beginning. Next, they'll go after gay marriage and maybe the board, what is it, Brown versus Board of Education? Yeah. They already eroded our voting rights a little bit. Yeah. So I see fascism down the line here. I don't know.
Oh, you do? You see fascism down the line? Well, first of all, obviously you don't, because if you know anything about the Nazis, they loved abortion. They were like big fans of it. They were. Sterilization, abortion, huge fans. Secondly, you're insane. I don't know who watches The View, but I'm sorry, because some of you are like, oh God, that's awful. That's awful. Here's something, though. Hey, government, you failed. You failed. You failed. You failed. Well, how did they fail? Things like this.
Now that the court is poised to strike down Roe, it is my intention for the Senate to hold a vote on legislation to codify the right to an abortion in law.
Now, government for the last umpteen years has given more and more of their power to 9 people in robes who can never be fired. And you can't fire them. I mean, you could, I guess, in theory, recall. You could go through, but it's a lifetime appointment. Because as a politician, if you're tasked with making decisions, and amongst those tasks are, can I negotiate with my other fellow Americans who also share my position here as Congress and senators and whatever in the political sphere? Can we actually have a real negotiation where I know I'm not going to get everything I want, and they're not going to get everything they want, but we can come up with an actual comprehensive plan? Well, if you do that, you might be held accountable and you might be fired. Meaning voted out. So rather than do that, what politicians have done for the last umpteen years is continue to give away power to the Supreme Court and to government fiat through just a wisp of a pen and executive orders, and then let the court make the final decision, because they're not going to get fired. You're not firing Alito today because you didn't like his outcome. He's not facing re-election. Government has kicked everything down the road, including making real decisions. Because it's just so much easier to do something that I'm going to give everybody free education forever and ever. We're going to wipe out all of this debt, knowing full well that you're not going to do it. It's not constitutional. It's going to go right before any judge in the world, right? Any judge. Judge Joe Brown, Judge Judy. It's just dead in the water. I made the effort. I didn't have to really make a decision. And I didn't have to do the thing that you despise the most. I didn't have to tell you the truth. Oh, God. Yeah. Hey, this is what happens. This is how it worked. This is the negotiation that we had. These are the things we got that I think you'll be happy with, and some of the things that we had to give away that might make you angry. But we got something done. It's not perfect, but we no longer have to defer to 9 men and women who were unelected officials who look at our Constitution in different ways. No, we the people came up with it. We voted on it. We passed it. It's into law, and away it goes. It's frustrating. It really is. It is frustrating. But that's one of the reasons why they have a lifetime appointment, because finally somebody has a voice where they can say, this is the decision. Here it is. Boom. I don't like it. I want to get rid of you. You can't. So there. Do you think if politicians had 1 6-year term, they never had to worry about running for re-election, you think that maybe there would be a different way they approach things? Because it would be more about getting things done? Do you think if we told them that, hey, guess what? If you're going to be serving in Congress or the Senate, you're going to have to get X, Y, and Z things done with your names on it, and where that you were part of drafting stuff and getting stuff done, or you couldn't even run for re-election? We live in this insane world where even being seen in the same elevator, having a laugh with somebody who you work with closely on all kinds of bills and within committees, that you really can't be because somebody on Twitter might be mad at you. It's nuts. Mitch McConnell came out earlier to talk about, a lot of one of the reasons they think that this thing may have been leaked. And everybody says, it's a huge breach of trust. Like, this is one of those, the hallmark of this place is you shut up. Like, even more so than the mob, because the mob's always like, you know what, we're family, we never talk, but then they always squeal, right? Somehow stuff gets out, somebody talks the whole 9 yards. Not with Supreme Court. The one time something got out was actually Roe v. Wade. And a law clerk back in the day, I think his name was Harrison, who knew what it was going to be, was actually speaking with an acquaintance he went to law school with at Texas. And that guy was actually working for Time magazine, and he wrote a piece about it. And it appeared on the stands the same day Roe v. Wade came out, the decision in 73. About 3 hours before the decision was announced, people lost their minds. How did this happen? Well, he was kind of tricked. And they actually pushed that announcement back a week. So it ended up coinciding with it. Because a lot of people are like, this head's got to roll. It's not the same thing. This was an absolute leak. Why?
The court should tune out the bad faith noise and feel completely free to do their jobs. They should follow the facts and the law wherever that leads. As I've warned in the past, courts bowing to activist pressure would never enhance judicial legitimacy. It could only erode it, and the hostage takers would never settle for half a loaf.
Yeah. Which is what we have now. That's exactly what we have. We have, I love the hostage takers. We have that now in our politics. The Twitter mob, the powers that be on television, all that stuff, they will accept nothing less other than give us everything or we'll take nothing. Because if you give them something, it could be a win. And that's what we have. You know how many bills we could have passed, both sides of the aisle? Reagan said it better, I think, than anybody else. Imagine what we could get done if we didn't care who got the credit. Credit is all that matters. So now you're going to rush out and try to codify this, try to get something done. Now you're going to do it. It's like when I see immigration. How many times have we seen, well, you've had the House and you had the Senate and you had the presidency. Why couldn't you get something done? Marriage equality. You had the House, you had the Senate, you could go down, line after line after line. Why is it now you're doing it? Because you assumed that nobody was going to ever challenge this, and it finally got to the point where it was, and then you looked up and lo and behold, you had a 6-3 majority for conservatives inside of that 9-judge panel who have the final say. So what are you going to do? Now you're going to rush to do something. Why haven't you done something before? Because you have to tell people the truth. And the truth is, when you go and you negotiate, you're going to end up giving up things that your side isn't going to want to give up. And because of that, you're going to be terrified to tell them the truth, because we live in a world now where it's just, I just want to make you feel good. And I'd rather do nothing and you not hate me than you be mad at me, but do the right thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. MyPillow has towels. You get 6 of them right now for the low, low price of $39.99. The best cotton grown right here in the United States of America. So it absorbs all the water. It's not lotiony feeling. It's not scratchy. Super absorbent, right? You're going to get 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, 2 washcloths, tons of colors and sizes, machine washable, 6-day money-back guarantee, 1-year limited warranty. Now's your chance to take advantage of this. Normally $109.99, yours for $39.99 with promo code Benson at mypillow.com/Benson. Or you can call 800-983-4975. Deep discounts on all MyPillow products across the board, including the mattress topper, my favorite, the Giza Dream Sheets, and so much more. Get your 6-piece MyPillow towel set now for only $39.99. That's a huge saving compared to $109.99. You go to mypillow.com/Benson or call 800-983-4975. mypillow.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
What a day. Man, it's just one of those days. So many things happening. AOC, of course, is out. SCOTUS isn't coming for abortion. They're coming for all right to privacy. Roe rest on, which includes gay marriage and civil rights. So that's what you throw out there. Which, again, the Supreme Court has authenticated the leaked document saying, yes, that is it. And without it, Alito also talks about the fact that, hey, we're not after, one doesn't the other. We're not going after all of that. This is the question that was asked about this particular thing. Well, they could come for other things. Then you know what? That means if you're worried about something, what can you do to, quote unquote, codify, to pass laws, to make sure that this thing is codified, right? Put into a position of where we've gone, we have passed a bill, we've made a law. This is what it is. Here's how it reads. This is what it stands for. What are you going to do? So when you continue to push stuff off to the men and women in robes, and they make decisions, and you don't like those decisions, and you wonder, could we have done something different? That's a you issue. Yes, you could have. But you didn't. And you'll continue not to, because making decisions comes with responsibilities and potentially blowback. And so many people do not want any of the repercussions. So it's easier to make a lot of noise. Speaking of a lot of noise, Ukraine still going and not going well if you are the Russians. And the question is being asked May 9th. Now, May 8th is so you've got Victory in Europe Day, VE Day, right? So May 9th is their Victory Day, okay? So May 8th, America, Britain, and of course the Russians couldn't do that. They had to go an extra day because they had to fight even harder, even an extra day longer. And so that's why everybody's looking at May 9th and what may happen on May 9th and what are some of the things that Putin may do.
What does Putin announce? Does he announce that there's now a full-blown war against Ukraine and allows him to bring up reservists and to mobilize the country in ways that he hasn't before? Or does he just say, we're close to being done here. We've gotten the territory that we want?
It's a good question. He's not going to win this unless he goes in whole hog and probably starts really carpet bombing and tactical nuke potentially and calls up God knows how many men and just doesn't care about the carnage that his people are going to go through. Maybe there's a chance he wins the war, but he's not, the battle, but he's not going to win the war because he's not going to replace with any kind of legitimate government that will be recognized. And the second thing is he's going to have to occupy it, and there's going to be several million people who are going to want to kill every single soldier they see. So the question is, you try to drag NATO and the Americans in. Because if you get your ass kicked by NATO and the Americans, you can then at least say, well, we lost to NATO and the Americans or whatever. We were driven out by how many countries? Save a little face. But May 9th, everybody's looking at as that day being the day where we will find out where the next portion of this goes or if we're going to be heading towards an end sooner than we thought. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Solid fun show as always today. I bet you we do it again tomorrow because we will. Follow on across all of our social media. You guys have a great rest of your day. It is Tuesday, so I recommend one thing. Tacos, baby. Night, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.